Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Another AMA. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today.
Hey everyone, welcome into another South Harmon Dynasty Team Review show, where you have the chance to purchase a team review from one of us over at the South Harmon team. Get advice and guidance on one of your teams that you'd like to be reviewed by one of us. If you don't know who I am Eric Vanek. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Vanek NFL, and I am the host of the America's Game Pod right here on the South Harmon Network. So make sure you guys check that podcast out. Every single week, drops on Thursdays. Enjoy doing it. A lot of people like the content, so hopefully you will too. If you'd like to purchase your own team review, please go to the link below me here, dynastyteamreview.com, and you can sign up to have either myself, Mike, Adam, or Koopa, or two of us, or however many ever you want to do, review a team for you. You can also join yourself with us as well, and we'll help review your team, answer any of your questions that you have live about your teams, about trades that you can make, stuff like that. So if that's an option, if you want to join us as well on here. Price points are different for each South Harmon member, so please check that on the website for the pricing. Today I have Nrob369. He has bought a team review that I'm going to go over here today. So special instructions for this league. He just said it's a 12 by 11 Superflex league, 0.75 tight end premium, which is good. How do you envision his team's future? He tanked his first year, and now he's looking to contend for multiple years. So, all right, Nrob, let's go ahead and take a look at your team here. So we're going to pull up Koopa's warp tool first. I'm going to make sure I have the correct league, which is this one, calculate warp. All right, and I'm going to pull it up here on the screen for everybody to take a look at and get rid of my ugly face. All right, here we go. Make sure everything's good here. Yep, okay. All right, so looking at the warp for your league, pretty balanced league as far as positions go. As you can see with that 1.75 tight end premium, it brings these tight ends a lot closer to the running backs, receivers, and quarterbacks. Now, these back end tight ends, it's still a fairly flat tier, as you can see from, let's say Cole Kmet here at tight end 7, all the way to tight end 15 here at Hunter Henry. So Cole Kmet's at 1.6. And Kyle Pitts, 1.1, 1.1 for Hunter Henry as well. So it's not a massive difference between tight end 7 and tight end 16. But these tight ends up here, 1.8, I would pretty close. A 2 for Njoku, 2.09 for Laporta, 2.1 for Ingram, Kelsey, 2.3, Hawkinson, 2.4. So these tight ends, the higher end tight ends, definitely matter in this league. So let's kind of look through each position here. Quarterback, still going to be pretty king here. I'm just going to kind of cross all these off for now, and we'll go back to them. So quarterback, as you can see here, like your top end guys are going to be high 2s. You got your top 5s, the 6 right up in this range. Then from about quarterback 6 here to quarterback 16, it's pretty flat. So a 1.5 for Trevor Lawrence to Brock Purdy at a 2.0. So there's only a 0.5 difference between those guys, which is not very much in with warp. After that, though, it drops off here. Derek Carr, your Geno Smiths, your Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Gardner Minshew's, on and on and on. So obviously, a lot of these guys were injured or missed half the year or whatnot, so they aren't up there. But for your league, quarterback 6 to quarterback 16 is fairly flat. So I want at least 2 to 3, if I can get a third, in this range. If not, for a third guy, I'm okay having somebody down in this range. It's fine. But as long as I have 2 solid guys in this top 16 range, I'm happy. If I have, 2 of the guys in the top 5 here, fucking fantastic. But it's not like a necessary thing. Let's pull up the running backs here. So as you can see, running backs in your league are pretty dead even here with the quarterbacks. Obviously, the higher end quarterbacks are going to outscore these other running backs. Obviously, McCaffrey was a wizard this year. But once you get to here, like 0.2 difference between Joe Mixon and Kamara, Mahomes and Kamara, 0.3 difference. And then, as you can see here, it just gets pretty closer between these guys. So running backs definitely important in your league as well. As you can see here too, once you get to that Derek Carr range after the 16th, the running backs way more important than those quarterbacks. So you can kind of see in your league with the settings, you know, if you have to start like a running back over a shitty end quarterback, you know, your Joe Flacco's, Josh Dobbs, Joe Burrow was down here, Gardner Minshew's. Like, if you have another good running back, it might be better to play the running back over the quarterback that week. So that's another thing to kind of think about if you don't have a strong third quarterback. But as we can see, running backs are still pretty important in this league. Let's take a look at the wide receivers now. Wide receivers are right on par with the quarterbacks. You know, obviously CeeDee Lamb's up here, Tyreek. All these receivers are just on par with the quarterbacks. They are just above the running backs as well. But as you could see from here, we'll start here at Devontae Adams at a 1.7, position 12, to Rashee Rice, position 30, 1.3 difference. So 1.7 to 1.3, and we're going from 16 to 30. So you could see how big of a difference, or not a big difference between those guys. Oh, that's a very, very flat tier between those guys. So there is multiple wide receivers in your league that you could start, and you want to be playing them, you know, probably over the running backs. I mean, look at, you know, Brandon Cooks was higher warp than like a Deontay Foreman. Romeo Dobbs above a Tyler Algier if you had to start these kind of guys. So wide receivers are definitely king in your league still, but I'm not saying like quarterback and running back aren't important either, because they're all pretty close, at least the high-end ones. But once you get down to like the shittier tier of quarterbacks, the shittier tier of running backs, the wide receivers, you always want to play those guys over those running backs and maybe a shitty Superflex quarterback. Now I'll put in the tight ends. So obviously the tight ends, after the top like 6 don't matter, to be honest with you. Yeah, you got to probably start one. If you don't have a top 6 guy, one of these main difference makers, I'm not like fighting to, you know, spend all my draft capital on these guys to try and find an elite one. Like, you can literally start Cole Kmet to Logan Thomas here and be fine. Like, it's not that big of a difference for me. Like, sure, a couple of these higher end guys are a little better, but I mean, it's not that important of a position, because you see how much receivers and running backs, you're going to be playing receivers and running backs in those flex spots over a tight end pretty much all the time, unless you have 2 elite tight ends, you Kelsey and Ingram. If you had both of those guys, or Kelsey and Njoku, whatever it is, like, you could definitely flex one of those guys with their warp. But if you have, you know, Mark Andrews was hurt, so that's not a great one. But Dalton Schultz, Dallas Goedert wasn't very good this year. Kyle Pitts wasn't very good this year. Hunter Henry. I'm not flexing those guys over a running back or a receiver in that 1.75 tight end premium. Next up here, let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at your roster. Hey! All right, so we're going to stop the share screen on that one. Let's pull up your roster here on the lab. All right, so here is your roster in your league. So over here on the left, you can see where you rank in players compared to your league. And there's some teams over here that have better players than you ranked wise. Draft picks, you got everybody covered pretty much, besides for this guy. I am Ferg. Everyone else, you pretty much got covered. So that's a good thing there. Players, you know, you have some work to do, but with these draft picks, you're probably going to be able to do that this year. So let's go ahead and bring up your team here. All right. So let's see, quarterbacks. I'm going to start with quarterback position first here in the Superflex spot. So you have CJ Stroud as your quarterback 1. He's a top 6 quarterback in Dynasty. I also see that you have Tank Dell. So great. You have a quarterback with one of his top weapons like that. Anthony Richardson, you have perfect. I love Anthony Richardson. Like his upside quite a bit still. So like Anthony Richardson quite a bit in that super flex spot. So that's a good one. Bryce Young and Daniel Jones. So you have 4 pretty solid quarterbacks. I would consider right now Bryce Young and Daniel Jones are probably closer to that 15, 16 going towards that cliff of 17, 18 range is probably where these guys are at right now. But you're not like giving these guys up for peanuts either. I would probably still want a first for Bryce Young. Daniel Jones, you know, if somebody offered me a 201, 202, I might take it. But, you know, quarterback is king in these leagues. So just having 4 solid quarterbacks, especially with the injuries, you don't know how Anthony Richardson's going to come back either. I would probably hold on to these 4 guys if I could, unless I got an offer that I couldn't refuse. You have Jarrett Stidham as well. I'm not the biggest Jarrett Stidham fan, so honestly, I think he's probably a roster clogger, but I get it. You could probably hang on to him because there probably isn't too much available in your league. I should actually go back and take a look at that real quick while we're looking at it. Available players by Warp in your league. So let's take a look here. I'm just pulling it up on my other screen just to see if there's anybody that's sitting out there that shouldn't be, but I'm not really seeing anybody. But I'm seeing some backup quarterbacks in your league that are on the waiver wire. So Dorian Thompson-Robinson's there. Clayton Tune is there. So like there's some backup quarterbacks out there. Jarrett Stidham, you could probably get away with holding on to him for now. But if you need the roster spot, I would feel okay cutting him. Tyrod, you have Tyrod. He's a free agent this year. If he does come back to the Giants, you'd have both Giants quarterbacks most likely. So, and Tyrod is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. So I like holding on to Tyrod. So your quarterback situation is really good. I like what you have here. Now let's take a look at the running backs. So you have Keaton Mitchell and J.K. Dobbins. So both are coming off major injuries. J.K. coming off an Achilles. Not good. I also saw you have Cam Akers and Tank Bigsby. Cam Akers tore a second Achilles. You could hold him, but I pretty much cut him or traded him for like a 5th round pick in most of my leagues as soon as he got injured last year. If somebody offers you anything for Cam Akers, I'd take it. 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, just take it for Cam Akers. I'm off of the Cam Akers train. Tank Bigsby, nobody's going to give you anything for him anyway, so you might as well just hold on to him right now and just see if he has a bounce back year. Keaton Mitchell, I still like, but he's coming off a pretty big injury himself. And that was late in the year, so we don't know if he's going to be ready for the season. Dobbins, another major injury, man. It's another guy I would take anything for. 3rd, 4th round pick. You can give it to me. So right now, your running back situation is pretty dire, unless you have some other guys down here. Let's take a look. Eric Gray. Eric Gray's fine to hold on to. We'll see what happens there with the Giants this year. I would assume he probably still has a backup role. Deuce Vaughn, I don't think he got to show enough this year. So we'll see what happens this year with him. Still like him. Evan Hull, I like what he showed with Indy when he was healthy, but was hurt most of the season. So Evan Hull, I like holding on to. Samaje Perine, I will go ahead and I'm going to hold on to Perine because honestly, he might be one of your better running backs right now, which is not saying a whole lot. So hopefully he finds a spot and you could maybe get a start or 2 out of him. Kevin Harris, I'm okay with holding on to Kevin Harris right now. We'll see what happens there with him. Deion Jackson, he's bounced around from like 3 or 4 teams. He can probably be safely cut. And then that's it for your running backs. Okay, now let's go up to wide receivers where it's very important. So Tank Dell, like having him with CJ Stroud, Rashee Rice, another up and coming young receiver like that. Josh Downs, another receiver that a lot of people like. Plus, you have Anthony Richardson. So that's a good place to start there and have a nice little combo. And then your only receiver down here was Demarcus Robinson. So your depth at wide receiver in a league where you need a lot of wide receiver help, you're going to have to spend a lot of draft capital there, in my opinion. Tight end. So you have Mark Andrews, one of the best tight ends in the league. Obviously, he was injured last year, so he didn't show it, but still love having Mark Andrews on my team. Tucker Kraft. Honestly, with this team right now, the way it's built, he's probably going to have to be a flex right now because I don't trust any of these running backs to be starters for me, and you just don't have the wide receiver depth on your team. Let's see, anybody other tight ends? No, you don't have any other tight ends. So, yeah, right now your team is going to definitely need a lot of work as far as getting some more talent on this team. So let's take a look at your draft pick situation. So you do have the 101, the 106, the 110. You have the Orphans first round pick too, so I don't know where that pick would be necessarily. So that one we'll have to work around. So okay, 101. You're set at quarterback. And you saw on the warp chart how much wide receiver means, and they are on par with the top quarterbacks in the league. 101, I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors, whichever one you like better. Probably Marvin Harrison. He's got the most value right now. To add Marvin Harrison Jr. to this roster, you're going to slot him in up here. So you're going to have Harrison Jr., Tank Dell, Rashee Rice, and move Downs to a flex. So that is going to be key for you. So I like that a lot. 106, you're looking at Rome Odunze, Brock Bowers, or the third quarterback, whichever falls to you there. If it's Odunze, which it most likely would be, or Odunze or Bowers, I think because of how good wide receiver is in this league, I would be personally looking to take Odunze just because you already have Mark Andrews. And you have a pretty solid guy in Tucker Kraft to back him up. I don't need Brock Bowers, but you need to fill these spots with wide receivers or really good running backs. So getting another stud wide receiver like Rome Odunze, that's what I would be looking to do with the 106 pick. 110, you have to kind of see maybe where the running backs go, or this could be the Troy Franklin range, the Keon Coleman range. Xavier Worthy, those types of wide receivers. We'll see where they go, where the draft capital shows us where these guys are going to go. If JJ McCarthy fell here, I know you don't need a quarterback, but if McCarthy's a first round pick, that's a smash for me, a 110 spot for McCarthy. So that's where I would be looking to do with those picks right now. But yeah, that 110, if there's a really good running back that lands in a good spot, like a Jonathan Brooks goes to Dallas, something like that, that might be a guy that I'm looking at. This round one orphan pick, so I don't know where that pick is at. I'm going to say it's 107, let's say. If it's a 107, so I'll start with this way. There's 7 guys that I am comfortable with right now that I think are the top 7 in most rookie drafts. You're going to have the 3 quarterbacks of Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Then you're going to have the 3 wide receivers of Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze. There's your top 6. 7th is Brock Bowers. And in a 1.75 premium league, he's definitely in my top 7. After that, my 8 and 9 are probably JJ McCarthy and Brian Thomas Jr. are probably my top 9. And I feel pretty confident that's going to be my top 9 going into the draft right now. After that, though, like I said, it kind of just depends on draft capital. If does Troy Franklin go to the Chiefs or Buffalo? Where does Keon Coleman go? Where does Xavier Worthy go? Or some of these other guys that we're liking right now. So that's kind of where you're looking at with this round 1 orphan pick. Not sure where it is in contention with these picks, but that gives you an idea at least of your top 9 of what you should be looking at. If I could. You don't have to do this right now, but maybe closer to the draft, if it becomes clear there's a top 9, if what I say becomes true, McCarthy and Brian Thomas Jr. are looking like pretty solid first round picks, and they're going to be in that first round and drafted highly, I would be looking to move off this 110 to see if I can move up a spot or two. Can I move up to 108? Can I move up to 109? You could. The best bet is to do it right now, is to move up that spot or two before everyone else figures it out. So if you could do that, I would be able to do that. If I can give up 110 to get 108 and give like the 210 or 212 to move back to the third round, can I get the 305? I'll give it the 212 or the 210 and see if that'll help you move it up. That's kind of what I would be looking to do. 207, 210, 212, and the round 2 orphan. So not sure where that pick is at. So you have a bunch of later second round picks. I'm going to guess a lot of the receivers are going to be taken. So this is going to be probably the running back range for all these picks. Jatavian Sanders might fall in this range too, even though you don't really need the tight end. You need running backs and wide receivers quite a bit. So with these picks, I'm looking running back, wide receiver pretty much down the board. And honestly, it's probably for the rest of the draft. Your 301, 302, 307, 309, 310, 404, 406. I am looking to just fill these spots with running backs and wide receivers that I like. I want to pick up Blake Corum. I want to pick up Braylon Allen. I want to pick up Bucky Irving. I want to pick up Dylan Johnson. I want to pick up some of these later receivers. Like, if I doubt he's going to fall this far, but if Ladd McConkey falls here, so some of these other guys that we've been liking as well, Roman Wilson. If some of these guys are falling here, I'm just hammering on those guys and just take a bunch of guys, honestly, that you really like. I see you do have an extra first. Well, you have just this guy's first next year. You have 2 2s, a bunch of 3s, bunch of 4s. So you have some picks for next year, which is good. So you could use these as ammo to move up in the draft this year. Like I was talking about, like if this guy at the 108, let's say, or 107, if you can get 107, if you can move up from that 110 to 107, do the swap a 212 for a 305, and if they're like, that's still not enough, fucking throw one of these thirds in next year. You have 4 of them. Like, do something like that. That you could kind of just use those as accumulation, and then during the season, if your team is contending, this is where me and Scott have talked about it, like picking up a quarterback or spot start running backs for the week. Buying them for an extra third. Can I buy a running back, 2 running backs for the week or something like that for a third? Like, like Deontay Foreman last year, he ended up being the starter there for a couple weeks. And basically when he was in there, he was a warp difference maker. He was a top warp guy. If I could use these thirds to buy guys like that during the season, that's what I'm going to do. Especially if I'm contending. Do I think you're going to contend next year? I think it's going to be a little tough. You do have some really good draft picks that you're going to be adding, but I don't know if they're going to be enough to save your team. If you can get this 110 up a couple spots, I like that. I don't know where this round 1 orphan is. That would help a lot too. If you could get, let's say this round 1 orphan pick is in the top, the top 8 already, and you can convert this 110 into another top 8 pick, I really like that for you, because like I said, the top 8 or 9 guys in this draft I really like. So if you could get 4 of those guys, that would be sweet for this team to add a lot more depth and a lot more to your team. So now, kind of looking after your team here, we'll kind of revisit this quarterback situation. Bryce Young is kind of worth a first round pick right now. You need some depth. Can I trade Bryce Young to get another wide receiver, to get a running back. You know, Bryce Young is kind of in that 106, 107-ish range. You're kind of looking at, can I trade Bryce Young for like a Drake London and maybe a later pick? Can I trade Bryce Young for, you know, let me pull up, I'm going to pull up my rankings on the website here real quick while we're looking at it, just to kind of give myself some names. So, you know, so I said Drake London. Can I get JSN for Bryce Young? Jaden Reed. Can I get that for Bryce Young and try and get like a draft pick back? I know it's not ideal, but if you look at where Bryce Young is valued right now, like in terms of this draft, it's probably like around the 107-ish, 106 maybe. So that's kind of where you're looking at. You're going to have to kind of look at guys in that value range to trade, you know, to trade Bryce Young. Now, I just don't know if Daniel Jones, I don't think is getting you a Jaden Reed. I don't think he's getting you a George Pickens. You know, I don't think he's getting you any of these types of guys. So that's kind of where I'd be looking. Or, you know, can I get one of these young first year contract running backs for him? Can I trade Bryce Young for a Kyron Williams? Can I trade Bryce Young for Travis Etienne or Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco? You know, a guy like that and get something back too. That's kind of something I would be looking forward to do, because getting like a Rashad White, an ETN, a Kyron Williams, like they're warp difference makers. They will hit your start in your lineup every single week and be an anchor for you. So, yeah, you definitely need some help at the running back spot for sure. So that's kind of like where I would maybe leverage one of these starting quarterbacks to see if I could get a running back. Another thing you could try doing, since you do have a lot of injury risk on your team with J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, Anthony Richardson still is. If you feel comfortable, like I can platoon between Bryce Young and Daniel Jones, can I trade Anthony Richardson and go get a Jahmyr Gibbs, a Breece Hall type? You know, that's kind of where the range I'd be looking at with the younger guys. Like, I don't want to do that for McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor or anything like that. A chain is risky for me. I'd rather have Richardson over a chain. But can I maybe go see the Jahmyr Gibbs owner or the Bijan or the Breece Hall owner, if they're interested in Anthony Richardson, and seeing if you can make a deal that way, get a running back? You might be able to get a little bit of a plus back. Maybe not just because of Richardson's injury. I would maybe explore that as well and see what you could do there, because that would really help your running back spot quite a bit. So that's what I would do. I would maybe explore trading one of these quarterbacks, see if you could get a running back or wide receiver like I talked about. And then with your draft picks there, man, 101 is definitely Marvin Harrison Jr. for me. Another thing I didn't mention is see what 102 has on their roster, or maybe just talk to them casually, like in chats and stuff, and kind of get a feeling what they're thinking. Like, do they think they need a quarterback? Like, if they need a quarterback, maybe you can trade back with them to 102 and they can secure their Caleb Williams or whoever they like. And you could still get Marvin Harrison while you pick up a couple extra picks, or you pick up a running back or a receiver that you could use in your starting lineup. Can I get, you know, to move back one spot? Would he give me a, kind of look through some of these names again here. Can I get back like a David Montgomery, a Brian Robinson, a Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon? Can I get back a Deontay Johnson, a Christian Kirk, a Hollywood Brown, a Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton, Jacoby Myers? Can I get one of those kind of guys back to move down a spot? Or can I get extra draft capital or move my picks up in the draft? Can I trade this 207 to their 202? That kind of a swap. That's another thing you can explore as well. But yeah, with these first round picks, I wish I knew where this round one orphan pick was at for you. But man, if you can get all 4 of those picks in your top 8 to 9, at least 9, because I think Brian Thomas Jr. and McCarthy will be there. That's what I would try doing. Try and move my picks up to there as much as I can and get as much talent on this roster as I can, because you definitely need the depth. And that's a good thing that you have a lot of picks, because you need to use these picks for your depth. You need to replenish that depth quite a bit. So I'm not like, I know I told you to like, it's okay to like trade 1 or 2 of these picks, like I'm talking about. That's not a big deal if you trade extra 307 to get what you want to move up. That's more important. But I'm not like selling off every single 3rd round pick that I have. Unless that's a great deal for you, obviously. Because you're going to need depth. You have a lot of guys that are roster cloggers, honestly. Yes, we say any RB on a 53, but these guys are like the bottom end of the RB 50 on 53s. Like, I don't know if they're even going to score weekly, let alone even play or be active. So that's not good. So you're going to have to build this depth up quite a bit. And a couple ways to do that are going to be maybe to trade one of these quarterbacks. And then with your draft picks, try and do that. I mean, yes, you have the 3 good receivers, but I don't think you can afford trading any of them right now, because you're going to need these guys to start to contend. And they're 3 young pieces. They're 3 rookies from last year. So these guys are young, good pieces. You're going to add Marvin Harrison Jr. most likely to this staff. So yeah, that's what I would do with this team for sure, man. So hopefully you'll be able to pull that off and build on this depth a little bit. I think that'll help you quite a bit. So appreciate you getting getting a Dynasty review with us, man. Appreciate it very much. Hopefully we are able to help you and get you sorted out here and get you in the right direction and get you going for this fantasy season coming up here. So appreciate you, Nrob, for doing this again, man. Got any more Dynasty Team reviews, go ahead, purchase one from us. And anybody else out there that's listening, if you're interested in Dynasty Team review, right down there, dynastyteamreview.com. You can purchase a team review from one of us here at the South Harmon team. So looking forward to hearing from you guys. Good luck to you this season. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I will help you with anything that you got there. So appreciate it, man. And we'll talk to you next time.